Jake returned to the cafe the next morning with a sense of excitement he hadn't felt in a long time. The spaceport was alive with activity, ships taking off and landing, merchants shouting their deals and travelers of every species hustling to their destinations. He pushed open the door and immediately spotted Lyra behind the counter. She looked more confident than the day before, her violet skin glowing softly under the cafe lights. Her silver eyes met his and she gave him a small smile, one that hinted she remembered their conversation. "Good morning," he said, leaning against the counter. "Ready for round 2? Lyra blinked, a faint flush coloring her cheeks. "Round 2? She asked. Jake grinned. "I mean the bigger challenge we talked about yesterday." He lowered his voice slightly. "I'm talking about something beyond the cafe. Something bigger." She frowned, curious but cautious. "Bigger? What do you mean?" Jake leaned closer. "There's a team, a galactic exploration team. They take people to dangerous, uncharted areas of space. And they're looking for someone with skills. Someone who can adapt quickly, who can think on their feet." Lyra's eyes widened. "You don't think I could do that?" "I know you can," Jake said firmly. "What you did yesterday, balancing all those drinks, staying focused after fainting, that's not just skill. That's potential. And potential like yours, it doesn't come around often." She hesitated, glancing at the trays she was carrying. "It's dangerous out there. I don't know if I'm ready." Jake smiled gently. "You were ready enough for that tray yesterday. And if you join, you won't be alone. I'll be there with you, and so will the team. You'll learn fast." After a long pause, Lyra nodded slowly. "Okay, I'll try." Within an hour, they left the cafe and headed toward the team's ship, a sleek vessel designed for exploration and research in unknown sectors. The captain, a tall humanoid with orange skin and bright green eyes, welcomed them. "Jake, you brought her?" the captain asked, raising an eyebrow. Jake nodded. "Yes, she's extraordinary." Lyra felt nervous but tried to hide it. The ship was unlike anything she had seen. Panels blinked with data, holographic maps floated in the air, and the hum of the engines resonated through the floor. She had been a waitress handling trays and customers, and now she was aboard a ship that could jump light years in minutes. It was overwhelming but thrilling. The first mission came sooner than expected. The team was sent to navigate a dense asteroid field, a dangerous area where even experienced pilots struggled to survive. Jake was confident in their abilities, but he knew this would be a true test for Lyra. As the ship approached the field, alarms blared. Rocks of all sizes floated in unpredictable patterns. The captain's voice came over the comms. "Brace for maneuvering. Everyone prepare for evasive action." Jake turned to Lyra. "Ready?" he asked. She nodded, her silver eyes narrowing in concentration. The fainting she had done in the cafe seemed like a distant memory. She had learned to anticipate her body's limits and now could control her focus like never before. The first rocks came at them fast. Lyra's hands flew across the control panel, adjusting thrusters, stabilizers, and shields. Her movements were precise, almost instinctive. Jake watched in awe as she managed multiple systems at once, predicting the paths of the asteroids before they even appeared on the main screen. "Lyra, how are you doing that?" he asked. She didn't answer immediately, her focus absolute. "It's like yesterday," she said finally. "I fainted and then I reset. My mind clears and I can see patterns. I can predict movement." The ship twisted and turned through the asteroid field, rocks scraping dangerously close. The team held their breath as Lyra guided the vessel with perfect timing. Finally, they cleared the densest part of the field. Cheers erupted from the crew. The captain clapped Jake on the shoulder. "I've never seen someone handle a ship like that," he said. "Your friend. She's remarkable." Lyra leaned back in her seat, exhaling shakily. She was exhausted but exhilarated. For the first time, she felt capable of more than just the cafe. She had a skill that mattered, a skill that could save lives. The next mission tested them even more. A rogue alien species had set traps near a research station on a small icy planet. The station had sent a distress signal, and it was up to Jake, Lyra, and the team to investigate and assist. The planet was hostile. Blizzards swept across frozen plains, and jagged ice cliffs threatened to collapse at any moment. As they approached the station, Jake could see why this mission was dangerous. Robots and automated systems were damaged, communication was spotty, and the rogue aliens were unpredictable. Lyra moved confidently through the control room of the ship. Her eyes scanned multiple screens at once, monitoring temperature, structural stability, and alien activity. She coordinated with the crew, giving instructions with clarity and precision. Even under stress, she remained calm, her fainting reflex now only a rare tool she could use to reset herself when needed. They landed near the station and stepped out into the storm. Jake led the team while Lyra managed the ship's drones, sending them to scout ahead and provide data. The rogue aliens attacked suddenly, firing energy pulses from hidden positions. Jake and the team ducked behind icy barriers, returning fire with careful precision. Through the chaos, Lyra guided the drones flawlessly, marking enemy positions and providing real-time updates. Her actions saved the team multiple times. At one point, a rogue alien nearly reached them, and Lyra's quick calculation directed a drone to intercept it just in time. Jake was stunned. This was the same alien waitress who had fainted in a cafe. Now she was a hero, orchestrating life-saving maneuvers in the middle of a battle. He couldn't help but admire her courage and adaptability. Finally, the team secured the station. Injured scientists and staff were rescued and the rogue aliens retreated. The captain praised everyone, but he spent extra time shaking Lyra's hand.
Your abilities.
They're beyond what we expected. You could be a key member of this team for years to come. Lyra blushed under the praise. She had never imagined her fainting weakness could become such a strength. She realized that her ability to reset and focus gave her an edge no one else had. Jake smiled at her, pride shining in his eyes. See, I told you. You're stronger than you think. She looked at him, a mix of relief and joy on her face. I never knew I could do this. I thought I was just a waitress. You're more than that, Jake said softly. You're capable of amazing things. And you've just begun. As the team returned to their ship, Lyra felt a new confidence growing inside her. She had faced danger, helped save lives, and discovered a talent she didn't know she had. The fainting, the embarrassment, it all seemed like a part of a past self. She was ready for more adventures, more challenges, more chances to prove herself. Jake looked out the window at the stars stretching endlessly before them. He thought about the first day he met Lyra, how she had fainted carrying a tray of drinks. Now she was piloting a ship through an asteroid field and coordinating battle strategies on a hostile planet. Humanity had always believed in potential, the ability to adapt, to rise above limitations, and to inspire. And now in Lyra, he saw that same potential reflected in another being. The cafe had been just the beginning. The galaxy was vast, filled with challenges, dangers, and mysteries, and Jake knew that with Lyra by his side they could face whatever came next. Together they would explore the unknown, face impossible odds, and prove that courage, intelligence, and adaptability were universal strengths. As the ship jumped into hyperspace, leaving the icy planet behind, Lyra leaned back in her seat, her silver eyes reflecting the stars. She smiled, finally understanding the truth Jake had hinted at. Fainting was never her weakness. It was her reset, her way to see clearly when everything was chaotic, her unique gift. And now, with the galaxy ahead of her, she knew she could do it again, and again, no matter what challenges awaited. Jake glanced at her and said with a grin, "Wait, you can do it again already?" Lyra laughed softly, a sound full of confidence and joy. "Yes, I can." The adventure had only begun. Alex wiped the sweat from his brow as he crouched under the humming machinery of the Aurora. The engine room was always warm, filled with the steady pulse of energy conduits and the occasional spark from misaligned circuits. The stars outside the hull windows moved silently, distant points of light drifting through the dark void of space. Alex's life on this small exploration vessel had grown routine over the past few months, but the engines never gave him a moment of true rest. One mistake, one overlooked warning light, and the entire ship could be in danger. He adjusted the coolant valves and checked the energy readings. Everything seemed normal for now, but he knew from experience that appearances were deceptive. Even a small fluctuation could escalate into a catastrophic failure if left unchecked. He took a deep breath and began inspecting the secondary conduits when the door at the far end of the engine room hissed open. Lyra stepped in. She was a maid assigned to the crew, her job mainly housekeeping and organizing daily routines. But her species had always intrigued him. They were humanoid in shape but taller, with skin that shimmered in faint colors depending on mood and health. Her eyes were large, almond-shaped, and seemed to glow faintly in the dim light of the engine room. Today, she was wearing only a simple apron that covered her torso, leaving her limbs exposed. Alex blinked, unsure if his eyes were playing tricks on him. "I need your help," she said, her voice calm, almost casual. There was no hesitation, no embarrassment in her tone. Her statement made Alex frown. He had never been in this situation before. This was not a moment for distraction. Help with what?" he asked, trying to keep his focus on the blinking lights of the consoles. "The conduit's here," she said, pointing toward a section of the main engine. "Something is unstable. I tried to fix it, but I need you to guide me." Alex shook his head slightly. He wasn't sure why she chose to enter like this, but he reminded himself that the problem she mentioned might be serious. He stepped closer to the main engine, ignoring the thought that kept nagging at him. Lyra was standing confidently beside the machinery, her hands moving toward the conduits as though she knew exactly where to start. "Okay," he said finally. "Show me what you mean." She led him to a cluster of energy conduits that ran along the floor. Sparks had begun to flicker along one of the main lines, faint but enough to trigger an alert. Alex knelt beside the conduits, examining them. "This could cause a short if it escalates," he murmured. "Good thing you found it early." "I felt it," Lyra said simply. "The energy is uneven. You humans detect it differently." Alex raised an eyebrow. He had worked with alien species before, but her understanding of the machinery was remarkable. He hadn't expected her to notice such a subtle variation in energy flow. "All right," he said, "we'll do this together. Follow my instructions." For the next few hours, they moved carefully through the engine room. Alex directed her to open panels, adjust valves, and reroute minor conduits. Lyra's hands moved quickly and precisely. She seemed to anticipate his directions before he spoke, an uncanny instinct that both impressed and unsettled him. At one point, a surge of energy pulsed through the floor, making the lights flicker and the hum of the engine spike. Alex grabbed her arm to steady her. "Watch the conduits." "That was close. I saw it coming," she said calmly. "You humans rely on machines too much. Feel the energy and it tells you everything." Alex frowned, thinking about her words. She wasn't exaggerating. He had always depended on gauges and alerts, reading numbers and lights to detect problems. She was reading something deeper, almost instinctual in the machinery. As they worked, Alex noticed that the confined space of the engine room made her presence even more noticeable. Her species moved with grace, almost floating as she shifted from one conduit to another. He reminded himself again to stay focused. The ship depended on it. After a tense moment, Lyra found the source of the instability. "Here," she said, pointing to a minor junction in the energy grid. "It's weak. If we don't reinforce it, the whole section could fail." Alex knelt beside her, examining the junction. He could see the stress in the metal, the way the conduits had begun to warp slightly under pressure. "You're right," he said. "We need to stabilize it immediately." They worked together, tightening supports, rerouting minor energy flows, and carefully adjusting the system to prevent overload. Every so often, Alex would check her work and find that she had anticipated his adjustments, correcting minor errors before they could escalate. "You're good at this," he said finally, unable to hide his admiration. "I've learned," she replied simply. "Machines speak to me differently than humans. You rely on rules. I rely on energy." It was strange working alongside someone so different yet so capable. Alex found himself relaxing slightly, though he remained aware of the flickering sparks and the heat of the engines. This was no time for mistakes. Suddenly, a loud alarm rang through the engine room. Alex's stomach dropped. "What now?" he muttered. Lyra didn't hesitate. She sprinted to the secondary conduits, scanning panels with her glowing eyes. "A secondary surge," she said. "It's spreading. If we don't act fast, it could reach the main core." Alex grabbed a toolkit and followed her. They moved quickly, adjusting valves, redirecting power, and closing off unstable conduits. Sparks flew dangerously close to them, and the hum of the engines rose to a threatening pitch. Alex felt his pulse race. This was the most dangerous situation he had faced on the ship since the last asteroid storm. As they worked, he realized something important. Lyra wasn't just a maid. Her species' connection to machinery, combined with her intelligence and instincts, made her an invaluable ally. She was fast, precise, and unafraid of the dangers around them. Without her, he might have failed. Finally, after what felt like hours, the alarm stopped. The energy flows stabilized, the conduits cooled, and the engine room returned to its usual steady hum. Alex sank to the floor, breathing heavily while Lyra checked the readings one last time. All stable. she said softly. For now. Alex looked at her, still amazed. You saved the ship, he said. I couldn't have done it without you. She smiled faintly, the colors of her skin shifting slightly in contentment. You guided me, she said. Together we succeeded. For a moment, the tension in the engine room faded. Alex realized that their collaboration had been more than just technical. They had formed a connection, a mutual understanding that went beyond species and routine roles. Thanks, he said finally. I didn't expect that. Lyra tilted her head. Expectations often limit humans. You will see more if you trust your instincts and mine. Alex couldn't argue. He had learned something valuable today. Not just about the engines, but about working with someone different. Someone whose abilities challenged his assumptions and improved his own. As they packed up tools and prepared to leave the engine room, Alex felt a strange sense of anticipation. This ship, these stars, and this unexpected ally promised more challenges and more lessons than he had imagined. And somehow he knew that with Lyra by his side, even the unknown dangers of deep space seemed a little more manageable. For the first time in months, Alex felt a spark of excitement, not just from solving a technical problem, but from discovering that even in the cold, mechanical heart of the ship, there could be connection, understanding, and teamwork that surpassed everything he had known before. He glanced at Lyra, who was already moving toward the door, and for a moment their eyes met. There was no awkwardness, no pretense, just mutual respect and the quiet acknowledgement that they had just faced a challenge together, and succeeded. The hum of the engines filled the room, steady and reassuring. Outside, the stars continued to drift, and the Aurora sailed onward through the vastness of space, carrying its crew into unknown adventures. And Alex knew without a doubt that no matter what came next, he would not face it alone.